Hey guys, Jess of Peek Wreaths. So we are working on a fall wreath, as you can see here. I am doing my first ever outdoor craft show. It's called I think like a summer vendor market. Yes, and they have vintage and handmade items, and it goes from 5 till 10 p.m. and it's outside, as I said before. But since it's going to be next weekend, and that's in July, but people are starting to think about fall already, I wanted to make a wreath, which I haven't made here on YouTube before. It's called like a pancake style wreath. So it's meant to fit between two doors. A lot of us here in Michigan and in the Midwest, we have storm doors. So we have our regular door, and then we have another door. And if you put one of my big wreaths that are about 8 inches wide in between those doors, squishy, and not in a good way. So we're gonna work on making one of those skinnier wreaths today, so that if people ask at the show, do you have any wreaths that fit between two doors, I can say, yes, I got this one, and hopefully maybe a couple more. So we're gonna get started on that right now. I don't have any of the mesh or ribbon cut. I figured we could do that together. I also have these gorgeous fall picks with the leaves. I have 4 of these, and what I'm gonna do is, so if you see, each of these picks has 4 sections, and I'm going to, technically 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna push these up, because you can push these up a little bit, like this. So I'm gonna push these up, and then I'm gonna cut the stem right here, and put like a little dab of hot glue on the end, and let it dry, and then instead of having 1 pick, I'll actually have 2. And so since I only have 4 of these, I was trying to figure out what am I gonna do. I'm gonna have 12 bundles, and I'm only gonna have 4 picks. That's not really working out with the math, right? So what I'm gonna do though is I'm going to cut these. Instead of having 4, I'll actually have 8, and then I'll be able to do 6, put 1 of these in each of the 6 ribbon bundles on the bottom, and then we'll have 2 to put on the top, which will work out because this sign is really kind of big, and I think only 2 parts of the leaves will go on the outside. If I need to add more leaves, I will. But this, before I forget, the item number, I got this from Hobby Lobby, these picks. The item number, if anyone asks, is 6517239. They were in the fall section last year. On the back it says FP05, so if you need to find those. And then this ribbon here that I'll be using, it's R7640/04. If you wanted to find that, you could probably Google that. This one is Kirkland Signature, so I don't know if that's from Sam's or Costco. From last year, we have item 175504. And then this mesh that we'll be using today, it is item RE130038, and I think that's all the information you need from me. So we're gonna start prepping this stuff. We're gonna get these ready because we're gonna have to put 1 of these in each of the bundles on the bottom. My pipe cleaners, I have cut about 1 inch off like I always do, because I would rather cut them shorter a little bit than have to go back around and trim them all. It's just a step that I like to do. Been making wreaths for a little bit, and I kind of realize what I like and what I don't. This sign here, it's really cute. Farm fresh pumpkins, and then it has the cutesy things. Hay rides, caramel apples, and cider, and it looks like it's on a burlap background, but it's actually flat. How I attach this is I stapled pipe cleaners in each of the 4 corners, and then I'll tie them into the wreath. What I do too is, like, my staples, some people, they will put their pipe cleaner through here, they'll staple it, and then they'll use a hammer to staple the staple, or to hammer the staple like all the way through. Sometimes what has happened to me in the past though is when I do that, you will see the staple come through the other side of the sign, and that's not a look we're looking for. So I use a stapler. It's like a heavy duty stapler, and then these, if I left them like this, they would just fall out. So what I do is I put a little dab of hot glue on all these staples, and then while it's still wet, I will take it and I'll twist it like that. Sometimes these stickers that come on the back, it does say item number AP8565 if you needed that to look it up. If I can't get these stickers off, because sometimes they're really hard, what I'll do is I will just take one of my business cards and I will just hot glue it like that, and it takes care of that, and I won't have to sit there and try to scrape it all off. Even though the customer probably won't see it, I still don't like leaving this type of sticker exposed. So we're using a 14-inch wreath base. I got this one at the Dollar Tree, but you can get them different places. It is a nice forest green color. Sometimes with mostly all the time that I've been doing my burlap wreaths, I will spray paint this a light brown color, but since you won't be able to see it anyways, because we'll have this and then we'll have the sign over it, you can just leave it as it is. Let's wire this up, and then we're gonna start prepping our leaves and our sign, because we'll need it to dry before we put it in. So with this wreath method, this is called a pancake wreath or a thinner profile wreath. Instead of 18 ties like I normally do, on this style we want it to stay as flat as possible with still looking full. So if somebody saw it from a distance, they would think it was a full wreath, like one of my detailed full wreaths, but it will be skinny enough for all of us with the storm door. So how we put these on is we're gonna have 12, so we're gonna have 6 on the inside, 6 on the outside. I'm doing like what I always do right here on these 2 inner rings, but instead of putting another pipe cleaner here, I'm gonna put one just in the middle here. And this is on the outer 2 rings. So that's what we're gonna do. I just twist it once. I make it tight enough where it's not gonna move, but not so tight that I bust the welds, which I have done before, and then you have to throw the wreath frame away, so it's not a good time. So just like I said before, we're gonna have 12 ties instead of 18. I chose this dark brown color because it matches the fall look. You could go with orange or green or red, I guess, although that's kind of Christmassy. You might want to save those pipe cleaners for Christmas time. But we're just twisting them. I'm leaving these, open like this so that I can just put my mesh down right in there and not have to stop at all to do that. So we're just sticking them in here. Are you guys, I know that it is only the second week in July, but are you guys starting to think about fall yet? I know fall is, like that saying fall is my favorite season of all. It is true. Fall is my favorite season. Although it seems like ever since having kids, I forget that fall tends to be rainy here in Michigan a lot. And after being outside so much in the summer, it's kind of hard to be stuck in the house in the rainy days of fall. But fall is definitely my favorite season. I'm not sad about being done with summer wreaths and moving on to fall. And yesterday I sold my first ever fall wreath of the season. It was a blue and orange football wreath, just like I told you guys. All right, so we have this wired up with our 12 ties. We're gonna set this aside for now. We're gonna bring my glue pot over, and we're gonna start prepping this stuff here. So let me go grab that real quick. All right. So this here, I don't know if you guys can move this a little bit. So this is a glue pot. Surebonder makes this one, although different brands probably make it. What it does is you put hot glue in there, and you can melt the hot glue sticks. So instead of having hot glue in a hot glue gun, you can just melt all your glue in a glue pot, and then you don't have to sit here like this. It's kind of faster. Okay, so like I said before, we're gonna put, I just got this stem from one of my old, this one's a blue one. This is from that fall wreath that I made, that fall football wreath. So you wanna be careful when you're using these hot glue pots, because the glue is in the liquid state. So obviously it's very, very hot and it can burn you. Sometimes it even smokes, which is a little bit intimidating. But like I said before, we're just sticking some hot glue on each of these staples, and then I'm going to twist that tie a few times. See, it's so hot it's even melting this stem. So make sure you're using this in a well ventilated area, because you don't want to be inhaling any fumes or anything. Okay. All right, so we have that. I'm going to move this to the side so I don't burn myself. And then I'm just going to very carefully twist the pipe cleaners like this. And then we're going to let it dry while we start cutting all of our mesh. So I'm just twisting it a few times while this hot glue is in its liquid state, so that it kind of holds that pipe cleaner down and all the things. So that one's just going to stick it down there a little bit. Okay. And then twist this one. I always use Gorilla Glue hot glue, which is a little bit stronger than some other brands. And I'm sure that at the end of the day that staple probably would hold, but better safe than sorry. I don't want to run into a situation where my customer messages me and tells me that their sign fell off the wreath. That would be bad. And you probably too could just hot glue your pipe cleaner onto your sign, or you could use probably those cable mounts, but I just would rather be a little bit extra with my security precautions, I guess, when it comes to making sure nothing's gonna fall off the wreath. All right, we're just getting a little bit more hot glue on here, and then we're gonna set it aside for a minute and handle our leaves. And then we're gonna plug it back in while we are cutting all of our mesh and everything. All right, so like I said before, what I'm planning on doing is taking these, I'm going to pull these ones down a little bit and go and snip it. And then I'm going to dip this little part right here. See how it looks like this, but this is exposed right here, and these leaves would just pop right off the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push these leaves down a little bit like that so it exposes that little part here, and I'm just going to dip that in the hot glue and then kind of hang it off my desk here so it can dry. And so I'm just going to put it like that. Can you see that? A little bit of hot glue. And then we're just gonna hang it off the side and let it dry. Let's see. All right. In theory, that's gonna work. Let's see. Go. Getting the hot glue strings going here. All right. So let's do the next one. Pushing them up a little bit. You don't want to push it up so far that they pop off the end, but just far enough to where you can have some stem there. All right. Push that up a little bit. Hobby Lobby, a lot of times they put their seasonal stuff on sale. You just have to wait, be patient. Sometimes what you run into though is like stuff that you know that you use year after year might sell out because people really might like the same things. So it's kind of a risk, but they usually do have really good selection left over once their stuff goes on sale. So you just want to be patient and wait it out, and you'll be able to get the best value and then pass it on to your customer. All right, so I'm just going to move these leaves over here a little bit, and then we're going to get ready to cut our mesh and our ribbon. Just set these over here. All right, so I'm going to take my glue pot and plug it back in. And then we will be able to cut our mesh and have a little bit more space. All right, let's clean up a little bit while we're here. We have all of those ribbon bundles there. Normally I get all the extra stuff ready at the end, but we do have to put these into our ribbon bundles on the bottom level. So there we go. We're done prepping all of our extras and our little leaf bundles. And next time I see you, we will be cutting up our mesh and our ribbon and adding it to our wreath.